automatic. We don't living in the basement life is way greatly.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
For like a month. I'm like, I'm right here, I'm playing games. I'm like, yeah, but then if I exercise, and I try to affect my game, I lose like a pound or two, like, is it really worth it, you know? You think because it's like if I don't feel like I do, but if I work really hard.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So the deadline is not what we put was, well actually it is not. It's the 8th of April. I did forget to put that, I figured that once I got it, but it's April 8th, it's the Friday after. So we have those, so we're going to have 2 dates at the elementary school. It's going to be a little bit of everything, but most of the information is on the back. The only thing I missed was the I only had 4 days to figure it out. Yeah, as much as I could, yeah.
I was going to keep it.
Yeah, you got it just in time. Well, Kenny, but Henry.
We are right. We committed. I just gotta get. I could have not showered.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. All right, folks, at 6:30, let's stand and call this meeting to order and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the Union City Community Schools Board meeting. Our meeting agenda is available for you to follow. The expectation for our board meeting is to follow this agenda closely. We operate under the Open Meetings Act and utilize Robert's Rule of Order to govern our discussion and decision-making process. There is an opportunity for public comment during our set agenda. We welcome the public to express their opinions during this time of our agenda. If there are questions about the agenda or the board meeting process, please seek out one of the board members for clarification. Do we have any addition or deletion of items to the agenda? No. All right, let's move on then to the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as provided.
Move to approve.
Support.
Thank you and thank you. You want to take that one, Kyle?
Yeah.
All right. we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Correspondence? Do you have any correspondence tonight?
I do not have any correspondence.
All right. Next, we have public comments. This is the section of the meeting in which the public may make comments or share their opinions about the agenda items. We ask you to limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes per person to allow others the opportunity to speak. This is an opportunity for the board to listen to your concerns. It is not good practice to act on the concerns voiced during this meeting to allow for the board to do further research. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, move on to action items. A, financials. Board action is required to approve the financials for the month ending February 28, 2022. So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those opposed, please signify, or excuse me, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I was getting a little ahead of myself, motion carried. Retirement. Jeff Hillardis, middle school and high school instrumental music teacher, is retiring effective June 30th, 2022. I'll entertain a motion to accept that retirement.
I make that motion.
Support.
Any discussion?
What if we voted down?
Great comment, because I worked with Jeff when he was here. I coached middle school track with him, and also I'm a friend of his, and the school definitely missed Jeff Hillardis. He has been a rock and a supporter of the schools ever since he came here. So, first I hate to see him leave, I really do, but I wish him a great retirement. He and his family have been integral in this community. I think you all realize that. And so with regret, I'll vote aye and Jen's gonna vote nay. Were you in band? Oh, you wasn't in band. You were in band?
I think we've only had 2 band directors for the last 70 years.
Not 70.
Yeah.
How long is it?
12,
61.
60. 60. Yeah. Yeah, Mr. H was amazing.
It was.
He's
My
amazing.
son had it.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's not dead.
No,
Yes.
he's retiring.
Enjoying it, so.
I wish him well. It was obviously, I was a band guy myself, so obviously, and I was good friends with his son Al, so I spent a lot of time with the Lawrence household. So, great guy, sad to see him leave, but 38 strong years, so.
His daughter Sarah was my community service director.
Now you need to say something about Grace.
Yeah.
I didn't know Grace.
She's a great dancer. Great dancer.
All right, any other discussion?
Yeah, to that, listen well.
Absolutely. All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. C, hiring a varsity football coach. Board action is required to approve the hiring of Doug Hammerman as the varsity football coach.
So moved.
Any discussion? Yay.
Talking about another great guy. So, he's also a friend, but he, has been a part of the program for a long time too. A lot of behind the scenes stuff, knows the ins and outs, great with the kids. So I think he's a very good choice for this.
I agree, I think his knowledge is going to be great in this position.
Big thank you to Randy Widener for stepping in, but I do think he was pretty adamant that he was not interested in anybody she performed. So Doug, thank you for taking this on, because it is such a huge piece of our community and our schools, so thank you.
Thank you all.
Any other discussion? On that note, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. And welcome to the University of Florida.
Thank you all.
Hiring.
Get to work right now.
Already have, right?
Hiring of cook. Board action is required to approve the hiring of Deanna Bryant as English in elementary.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion?
Yes. Welcome.
On that note, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. And motion carries. Welcome to Deanna. E, Sex Ed Advisory Board, SEAB member additions. Board action is required to approve Stacy Gertler and Tony Kircher as additional members to the board. If you have an agenda in front of you, you can see a list of the current members and their roles. They're not replacing anyone, they're simply adding a district counselor and additional medical professional to the group. I'll entertain a motion to accept those additions.
I make that motion.
Support. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Welcome to Stacy and Tony to that group. F, contract with Whiteman and Associates Incorporated. Board action is required to approve the contract with Whiteman and Associates Incorporated as presented. This is the architectural firm for the high school football field bleacher project, and I will entertain a motion for such. So moved.
Support.
Any discussion?
I have a question, I guess, which I didn't ask Chris first, which I apologize, but it was gotten my time close, as you know. So this is to accept them as a contractor to design it, and they get a percentage of the overall cost. Is that how it works?
That is correct. They do all the design and they get a percentage.
So how do we have an invoice schedule? Is this just an assumption based on?
It's an assumption based on the budget, so we'll start paying them as they do the work based on the budget for the project.
Because, for example, we could find a cheaper contractor to build the bathroom, for example, and reduce the overall cost potentially, and so they wouldn't pay as much as designers.
That is correct.
And if for some unforeseen reason we decide we can't afford or can't move forward with the project, what would happen then?
We would owe them the amount of fees that through the work that they've done at the time. However, if we get all the way to the point where they've drawn all the designs and we've gone up to bid, most of the architecture work, the vast majority of it is done at the time when they go out for bid. After that, it's making sure that the plans are followed properly and that things are done the way it's done, supposed to be according to design, so follow the work. So there would be a pretty significant cost that you would owe them because they've already put in many hours to put those plans together. You would still own the plans. If you decide you couldn't do it, then you would still own the plans and be able to pursue it further on down the road, but we would have the costs involved for that work, yes.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. G, purchase of network equipment and installation using E-rate funds. I don't know if I said that right.
It's
E-rate, okay. Board action is required to approve the purchase and installation of network equipment as presented. This purchase is contingent upon E-rate funding. I'll entertain a motion for the same. Support. Any discussion?
Just the need for this is just to make our network better.
It will be every 5 years, the federal government E-rate program makes a district is eligible for a certain amount of E-rate funding in what they call Type 2, Category 2 funding. And so our 5 years has been renewed and we're eligible for a total of something like $150,000 worth of funding. So one part of our network that needs to be upgraded are the two main core switches at the high school. We have upgraded all the extra switches that operate each of the other buildings, but the main core switches have not been updated. And those are about 8 or 9 years old. And so
What is their function?
their function is all the network traffic for everyone goes through those switches. And then it branches out from there to the smaller switches that are located in each of the closets. We have 6 total closets in the 4 buildings. And so in each of those closets you have either between 1 and 4 switches. And all of those other switches have been updated and replaced, except for the 2 main core ones down here. And so this will update and replace those 2 main core switches. It will also, the other half of it is that our battery backups are all dead and dying. They have essentially died in that they have got to the point where we basically turn them off because otherwise they would shut off all of the time and cause us to have to do these restarts. So this will replace all of our battery backups so that we will not lose services or functionality for small power outages. It's not going to cover you for like even an hour-long power outage. It's like 15 minutes. So a short interruption of power, it will keep, and it will also do the surge protection. And that will be in all 6 of our water closets. So the total of this package is $44,000. Our cost with the E-rate discounts will only be $6,600. So the federal government's paying 85% of it. If you don't use the money in those 5-year periods, you don't get it. It's gone. This will still leave us with over $100,000 over the next 4 years we could use if necessary.
Any other discussion? On that note, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. We'll move on now to discussion items. The first is a student trip to Costa Rica. Our high school Spanish teacher, Erin Ormsby, will present to the board a proposal to organize a trip to Costa Rica for 2023. Looking for feedback from the board, and this will be on the agenda for April, seeking board approval. So welcome, Erin.
I have some handouts for board members to look at regarding this proposal. And I here to First of all, I'd like to thank you for letting me speak today. I've been teaching for 23 years, and this is the first time I've ever presented to a school board about anything.
Welcome, I'm sure you'll be fine.
The best evaluations out right now.
Right, be very nervous.
You guys.
Oh, no. Wow, that's embarrassing. Oh, okay, no, hold on. I'm so sorry, but I really have to fix something on here. Apparently, I copied and pasted my referral note on here. Wipers. There we go. This is correct. All right. I'm Erin Ormsby, and this is my 2.5 year here at Union City High School. I came to you from Lakeview High School in Elm Creek, where I taught for 19 years. And in that time, teaching Spanish, English, and ESL, I took some overseas trips with my students, and I'm very much looking forward to giving students here at Union City a similar opportunity because, without question, it's a life-changing experience. As you can see, my experience includes trips to Costa Rica, like the one I'm presenting about today, Spain, Peru. In 2013, I went to Mexico with 2 students who were studying independent study Spanish. I took them to my goddaughters quinceañera with me for a special experience that was not an EF tour, but still traveling abroad with students. Then in 2016, England, France, and Spain, all in one 10-day shot. That was a whirlwind experience. 2017 to Panama, and most recently in 2018 to Spain and Italy. And so, as you can see, I have tons of experience traveling with students, particularly using this tour company, EF Tours. My colleagues at Lakeview High School travel with EF Tours, and we have found over the years that they are an exceptional organization to work with. So what I'm proposing is a trip to Costa Rica with any students, whether they take Spanish class or not. If they're just interested in coming and they want the experience, I'd like to offer it to any and all students and parents and teachers, colleagues that would like to go. I'm looking at wanting to go in June of 2023. And this particular trip is identical to the one that I took in 2004. So I can say with confidence that this trip is really cool. The kids will get to go to a coffee plantation. They'll get to see how we're going to visit a university that specializes in the reforestation and the rainforest and agriculture and all of that. We're going to visit the cloud forest and the rainforest. They will see all these animals. We'll go to Arenal Volcano National Park. They'll see a live volcano. When I was there, I didn't get to see it erupting. Unfortunately, I was hoping it would, but I did see it puffing smoke up into the air, so that was still pretty cool. And they will also visit a banana plantation, so they'll get to learn how bananas are grown and cultivated. And this is the place I just mentioned, the Earth University, where the kids will actually get to plant a tree in Costa Rica as part of their reforestation project and learn about that. And lastly, another national park where they'll see more rainforest. So the cost is based on a quote that I got on March 7th. The tour price for students is $29.45. And adults can come too. I encourage adults to come, but it is a little more pricey for them. There's a $450 supplement for adults. But you know, it's like going to the movies. When you're a kid, you get a discounted rate. So the price for this trip includes everything. Their airfare, their 7 nights, hotel accommodations, breakfast and dinner daily, air-conditioned bus. It includes, oops, there's a typo, I'm so sorry, medical and accident coverage, admission fees to all the special attractions like the national parks and university and such. And then of course the tour director who will be bilingual. So it's important to note that the students do not need to be fluent in Spanish to go on this trip because everybody will speak English for them. But at the same time, they have every opportunity to practice. So, what's not included in the trip, and this is, I should note, this is the presentation that I give to parents when they come to find out about the trip. And so, what's not included is lunch money. And the reason for that is on these trips, what they like to do is they schedule the day so that the kids and the chaperones can have lunch on their own. And we'll go, say we're in San Jose, and they'll say, the tour guide will say, well, there's a really cool restaurant here where you can get some local cuisine. If you want pizza, there's a place over here. And, you know, within a 3 or 4 block radius, and kids and a chaperone can go where they want to have their lunch so that they can experience some of the environment on their own. And the lunch money for a place like Costa Rica wouldn't be any more than $10 to $15 a day. And of course, souvenir money. If they want to buy things, they don't have to bring money for that. There is an all-inclusive program fee protection that costs $135, and that the information about this is in the packet that I gave you regarding the insurance coverage that EF Tours provides. if they lose a bag in commute, if they lost a passport, EF Tours is available to take care of any problem that should arise when we're on the trip, and they have. Bus driver and tour director gratuities as well. We have to give the bus driver and the tour director a tip at the end of the trip, and it's usually amounts to about $50 total per person. Do I need a passport? Yes. So the kids and the adults would have to, make sure that they get a passport in time in order to travel. And COVID, there is some information in the packet that I gave you about COVID. And essentially, they're going to follow all the same safety protocols that we do here, as far as masks go and testing to make sure that you don't have a fever and that you're not experiencing any symptoms before you travel. And then the insurance. As I mentioned, EF Tours provides up to, I believe, I remember reading $500,000. So it is a fantastic company. As a personal note, I want to just emphasize, I said that EF Tours is there for you in case of any situation, any emergency or problem that occurs. And an experience that I had that really stands out in my memory as hands down, they just stole my heart when they did this. In 2008, when I traveled to Spain, part of the trip included a day trip to Morocco. And we took the ferry across the Straits of Gibraltar from Spain into Morocco just for the day. Left in the morning and went back at night. And our tour director told us, stay together and be very careful with your purses, your wallets. They told the boys to make sure they put their wallets in their front pockets. And they told the girls to hold their purse across their shoulder and hold it in front. And they told us to, as we were walking through the streets of Morocco, it was very crowded in the Casbah. There was, they were like very narrow alleyways, just like you see in the movies, very narrow alleyways with people with their goods over on either side of you trying to sell things. And it was very chaotic and crowded. And all of a sudden, I was at the back of the line of kids, and the tour guide was at the front. And all of a sudden, this man in a black jacket grabbed somebody from behind me. And I heard some commotion, and I turned around, and he had this guy pinned up against the wall. And I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. Come to find out, the guy in the black jacket was an EF Tour bodyguard that was there to follow our group in plain clothes to make sure that nothing happened. And apparently the person that he got was about to try and pickpocket me. And when I learned about that, because I didn't know, they didn't tell us that there would be a bodyguard following us. When I found out about that, I was just so, I practically vowed my life to them. I said, you guys are amazing. I mean, that's cool. That talk about getting your money's worth. So I feel very, very safe with the EF Tours, and I've never considered any other tour company. They're amazing. So if we should be able to go, the student to chaperone ratio needs to be 6-to-1. However, if there are no more than one chaperone, if I'm the only chaperone, I will go. It's very important to have 2 chaperones, 2 adults, because another experience, and briefly, is that on my first trip to Costa Rica in 2004, I got food poisoning. I ate some salad, and it was on the buffet, and everybody was eating it, but wouldn't you know it, I was the one that got sick. And so the very next day, I was down for the count. And so my other adult chaperone had to step up and take care of the kids. So I absolutely positively would not travel alone with students, because I know the importance of having a backup adult in place. In November, I held a short meeting for students and parents who might be interested in a trip like this, and just to gauge the interest. I didn't know if this would even be worth pursuing. But it turns out there were about 9 people who said adults and their kids. The kids that want to come, their parent wants to come with them. And that's the best. If every student brought their parent, that would be the best situation. It's not always the case, but I definitely welcome parents to come along. So about approximately 9 to 10 people are interested in going, which would be enough as far as the ratio that I'm looking for. And as far as fundraisers go, I share this with the parents to give them some ideas of things that we could do, but it's a lot of money. And I always encourage the students to begin saving as soon as possible. Talk to their families about maybe writing a letter and asking family members, instead of for birthday presents or Christmas, hey, instead of a video game, I could use some money for a trip to Costa Rica. Because it is a lot of money to give around, and I can't necessarily help that. But I do have some ideas here that I would be happy to help organize, because as the Spanish Club advisor, I have organized many fundraisers over the years. Many. So that's no problem. So that concludes my presentation. I would like to invite you to ask me questions. I know I said a lot in a short time. So.
How do the kids earn the trip or not earn the trip? Just ask, or is there some level of expectations for what they have to accomplish to do those?
I have never done that in the past. Typically, the students that want to come are students that I know in my class. I've never had a student that wasn't in a Spanish class sign up to go. And so, essentially, based on my personal recommendation, I would say, of course, come. If it was a student that I didn't know, if I didn't have them in class, I would ask their teacher to give a recommendation.
Also, is there a minimum number of students for EF tours to still do it, or not?
6.
Are there any grants that might be available to help with the cost? I mean, I know you've done this before, so you probably know that. I'm just asking for my own edification.
To be honest, I don't know that, because I've never done this. We've never done this with a grant before. But I'm not sure if, Amber, you know if the Community Unlimited is still accepting applicants for it.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, otherwise, I'm not sure. I've never pursued that scholarship or a grant.
And you would accept anyone in high school, basically?
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Erin? All right, well, thank you, Erin. I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
You did fine.
Thank you.
All right, we will be voting on that in April. The next discussion item is the CISD proposed 2022-23 budget. Board discussion needs to take place regarding the County and Intermediate School District proposed budget for 22-23. We need to review and adopt a resolution by June 1st of this year. Do you have any additional information for us, Chris?
This is basically just to get it out to you for you to take a look at this month, and then as you look through it, if you haven't already, if you have questions, you can get those to me, and then we'll bring it back for a vote in April, probably.
Great, thank you. We'll move on now to information. The April board meeting presentation is Deb McDowell and Glenn Knopfsinger will share with the board some of the improvements that are being made and planned for food service.
They've been working together quite a bit, and they have some interesting things, and so we'll present next month. I just wanted you to know that it's coming.
Okay. School nurse. In our packet, we had current status of potential contract for school nurse. Would you like to discuss that?
Just keeping you posted that it's something that we're still pursuing. Hopefully, well, right now it's a shortage of people to hire. They really have not been able to fulfill the contracts that they have with other places. But I have a proposal from the Calhoun Health Department, and hopefully the grant funds will be renewed for next year. It's emailed with the gentleman of the state who's in charge of that program, and he said it's in Governor Whitmer's proposal for next year to renew that grant funding. So if it is there, then we will try to get it started again next year, and we will see. The specific grant program pays over the course of 4 years. It basically pays for 2 years. It breaks it down every first year and then reduces it. It goes on. So. So you would have to commit to a minimum of 4 years, yes. So they want you to continue it obviously after their commitment is done. So we would be committing to keep that person for at least 1 more year after the 3rd year.
Is that person an employee then of the health department or an employee of the school?
In the way that I'm pursuing it, they'd still be an employee of the health department. We would have a contract with the health department so that we are in the business of trying to go out repeatedly and hire a nurse. Every time somebody leaves, it comes out to be their responsibility to provide someone. They won't sign a contract with us unless they're reasonably sure they can provide that.
Just asking for benefits situation.
The quote they gave me was $75,000 was currently, and that would cover full salary benefits, everything that we would pay them directly. Those things would be their responsibility to manage.
And do they have like a waiting list that we would be on if we wanted to have a contract but they didn't have enough nurses available?
I'm not sure exactly. I would imagine they manage it in that way. When I spoke with them, they just told me that given the time of the year it was and the fact that they had open positions right now, that it would be best to wait and apply next year when we could get to the beginning of the year, get a full year out of it, if we can do that. Hopefully, possibly, maybe the employment situation will improve. I mean, it can't get much worse, I guess. If it can, which is a terrible thought, but so hopefully there will be more people available to hire at that time. So we're going to try to build that into our budget proposal for next year as an option. It's not anything we're committed to until we look at the numbers and see where that falls. It is one thing that I can say that I've heard from a variety of different people over the course of this year mentioned to me, I would say at least a dozen times. Are we going to be able to bring back a nurse? And there have just been a number of situations where it really would be nice to have a nurse here available for our students.
I'm going to ask some questions, probably going to answer. So that's a lot of money, obviously.
It is.
And you might laugh at my question, but based on what you just said, do we feel like we would have enough to keep that person busy full time, or would we want to pursue sharing that resource with another district?
I would let you take a look at our principal spaces to give you the answer to that question. Okay.
But it also helps with the attendance purposes as well. And so when you have a medical professional sitting there saying, there's nothing wrong if you go to class, it's different than Mrs. Thomas just being in meeting pants in the office and you go to class. And so that carries a little bit more weight in terms of we have a school nurse, they verify there's nothing wrong, you're going to class. And oftentimes I will leave it up to the parent. this is what your kid's telling me, this is what we tried, what do you wanna do with it?
I think it will be very busy.
All right, asbestos abatement.
Just wanted you to be aware that we're.
Were you ready for me to go to
Oh,
asbestos
yes,
abatement?
that's-
All right, sorry.
I was jumping
You're
ahead.
jumping it,
of
go,
you.
go, do it.
I just wanted you to be aware that that would be taking place. Spencer was very proactive on that. He said, if we're gonna be doing work on those air handling units, we need to get that taken care of. And he went out and got a proposal and he has it all scheduled, so that will be done. But I wanted the board to be aware we were doing that in June.
Competitive school safety grant application.
Okay, that, I am completing an application for school safety grant. Hopefully we will be, each district in Michigan, I guess, will get this at some point. Hopefully this will be our turn. Another thing that I've heard mostly from the office people is how much they appreciate having a vestibule to keep people, all them inside, to be able to talk to them without them having access to students. And so this grant, and this is the priority for this grant, that's one of the first priorities that they're looking at funding is that. They have a list of about 10 different options. And that was in the right at the top as far as things that they want to fund with this grant is building those vestibules into schools that don't already have them. And it would provide $50,000 per building toward the construction. That may or may not cover the full cost. I have not done any real legwork to get that aspect of it developed. I'm waiting to see if we get some funds toward it, but I don't believe it will be significantly more than that. But we're going to get a little further down the road before we get some details on it. We have a few other construction things going on right now too. So, but that application is going in from now.
Great. Kindergarten playground complete. Would you like to report anything, Jennifer? I hate to just call you like out without notice, but I know you're excited about it.
Yes, they love it, and lots of classes have gone out and taken a look at it, and it's pint size. I mean, it's smaller, so it's perfect for our K1. So they are loving it.
I mean, I saw you going down. So.
And it was yes, it's fun for everyone.
I have a statement I've been directed to say this by Flynn. Flynn is 5 years old. And when she heard that we were bringing up the playground today, she played on it. I want to make sure I told the board that she approves of the playground, and you can sort of tell her that I did mention her, and she wanted to make really sure that we didn't take that out or burn it or something.
Why don't you recommend that she comes to public comment next week?
Well, I can have her come, sure, she has no problem.
Great.
So Flynn approves.
Bleacher project drawings.
Yeah, I shared in your packet some photos or some renderings of different aspects of the Bleacher project. This is a kind of an overview, an overhead look at what it will look like when completed. These are the drawings that they're currently working on. I shared this with all of you board members earlier. They did send me a rendering that's included here of the bathroom area, what that would look like. So this is on the top east side. You see where the entrance is, the steps coming down instead of that slope that's there now. And then the bathroom would be right adjacent to that. And you can see kind of what the bleachers would look like, the rail across the top. The widths of the aisles, the widths of the aisles on each end in the center are the same width. Spencer measured them, sent them the measurements, and said we don't want them any narrower. They had originally run them narrower. And the rows themselves are the same width as well. So the amount of seating space should be the same. It should look pretty much the same in terms of the seating space. Just over 1,000 seats. Let me see what else. Here are some other drawings.
I remember having the railing on the top, because I thought they had to put ADA compliant seating there that was removable. Does that go behind that then?
The seating is right behind that rail. So where right now people sit in lawn chairs, that's where the ADA seating is. The rail will only stick up just below. So when you're sitting down, you can see what the top of it.
One of the things that I noticed when I was looking at the drawings is on, I believe it's the last page, I think they swapped the titles for the men's and women's.
Yes, and I told her that she made that, and she corrected it for me.
Yeah, I guess these are using here.
She had it backwards, and I sent it back to her and said, now is it on the last page as well?
It's whatever the pages that shows like what the bathrooms is
Right.
like inside.
It's correct now, say it is correct there. So, I pointed that out to her and she corrected it, and she apologized profusely. I said, it's not that big a deal. No big deal. We'll be back.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the basic layout. So just, it kind of gives you an idea. There's what the bathroom will look like itself. And the other thing I wanted to I had them make the drinking fountain on the front because you have to have drinking fountains, certain drinking fountains, and they're turned into a bottle fill station as well. So that will be available. And I wanted to just again point out for everyone here so they understand why there are steps on both sides. The requirements are that we have to have 9 women's stalls because of the size of the seats available, number of seats available. We have to have 9 women's stalls available. And in order to do that without adding a much larger building with more stalls, we are counting 4 stalls from within the high school. In order to do that, they have to be within 500 feet of the bleachers. In order to make that happen, we have to take a straight line between the bleachers right up those steps that are now there on the west side of the press box from there to the high school. Even just following the ramp around, if we just left the ramp in, would have made it too far away. So that's why there are steps there. So I said, let's make it symmetrical, put steps on each side. It gives it a nice look. So.
Nice. Do we have any idea, I mean, so do we have to actually approve these in order to then have them put it out for bid? When are we looking at, we'll know what it looks like for costs?
At this point, they're moving forward with this design in terms of developing drawings and getting things ready for the bid specs to bring back. And then the board will, my understanding is, unless they tell me I'm mistaken, the board will approve the bid specifications to go out and seek the bids. And then at that point, we'll receive the bids and then we'll know for sure how much it costs. But the budget that we were together was based on their experience in dealing with these kinds of things that had built into it 10% contingency and a 10% extra in case it went over budget because of changes in the economics right now. So there was quite a bit of a cushion in that budget that they gave me. So we're hopeful that it will come in underneath what the budget is. And again, it has to be done by the first football game. I've also been talking to, and James has helped with that, with the Rotary about the fireworks, and they're looking at, right now, I knew they're looking at possibly doing behind the middle school, and the fireworks back there. Which would be a change for this year, but we felt that was better than trying to still shoot them here, and really this parking lot is going to be filled with a lot of equipment and materials for staging, so there really isn't going to be access here. Over there, they'd have a concession stand they could use, and so that's, I think, the direction they're going to go.
I'm not sure why I'm saying this, but I guess I am. you ask 100 people what they think, you're gonna get 100 different opinions. So I'm not proposing that we ask everyone that for every opinion, write everything down, but I guess what I am asking everyone who's listening is anyone who's going to use this, i.e. the football team or the people who are going to do fireworks, you know, I would like, if there's anything that's glaringly obvious that would not work well for what you're trying to do, what you want to do, let's get those things figured out sooner rather than later. So, or if there's something else you'd like to potentially change, we'd like to know that. We may not do it, but we want that input given. So.
Amber just pointed out a crucial question, which I posed to the architect, which is where will they be cooking the hot dogs?
I see there's a grill area.
They did do drawings with specific grill areas, but right now, yes, the grill area is right here where it currently is. That is where they cook them right now. It's kind of right in that area. Hopefully, it's very close to that. Hopefully that will still work out. If it doesn't, we have a couple other ideas. So,
Well, my question goes just to the safety of fireworks. You're talking about they set the fireworks off at the middle school?
it would be way behind and out behind the softball fields at the middle school.
That'd be checked by the fire department, make sure that was safe.
Absolutely, yeah.
And where would people park?
The company that does them, will look the site over and everything. It'll all be checked out and verified that it's proper and will work properly, as you say.
And where's parking again?
The parking would be basically where it is now, which is people park all over the place. The only thing that won't be available is this end of that part of our east parking lot.
So they usually park.
That's where a few people usually park, but they're usually all the lots are full all the way through the middle school and the other side and everything. And now there'll be more that will park in that direction behind the middle school and in front of the middle school and over here. And possibly part of that parking lot would be available, but if possible, we'll just block that off and that parking lot wouldn't be available. But when we have the fireworks, if you look around, I mean, there's usually cars parked all the way around the middle school. And so there will be this aspect that will be blocked off.
I feel more comfortable knowing that the people that are using the fireworks or blowing them off, at least we'll check the safety. That's
Absolutely.
more than anything else.
Absolutely. All that will be assured before it's done.
The only thing we're doing with the press box is changing the height of the concession stand. Is that it?
Yes, we're making a change so that the concession stand is handicap accessible from the front. So there'll be a lower window level, yes.
It was by raising the cement. That's what they told.
That's what they do.
They will be raising the cement or actually taking out, replacing it around the bathrooms.
I thought they were raising it because of the slope in front of the side as
Oh.
well.
Oh, yeah, all of the, yes. Okay. I'm thinking just in terms of the actual building, but yes, in front of the press box, all of that ground will be level, completely flush. From there up to the bleachers. The top part of the bleachers will be higher than it is now. So it will be a flat surface. You'll have a flat surface on top, and it steps down to a flat surface below that.
So I believe they told us that it would be raising it almost a foot.
Right.
By raising the concrete up, it makes the windows
Accessible.
I guess my concern is not that I want to spend more money, but do we want to do anything to make the press box look nicer, or is it going to look out of place with everything else?
Absolutely. That's already part of the plan. It's not part of their plan, but it's already part of my plan. So we're going to be doing a thorough cleaning and tear apart in there and possibly replacing the carpet. Looking at making sure all the equipment and everything we have in there is looking good. I've said that to many different people. They can tell you that you can't have all this nice new facility with an eyesore in the middle. So we've got to whip it into shape, do anything we need to do, and have it ready so that when everything else is done, that's ready to go as well.
Does this include like a chart that pops up in the front, runs across, not really get a touchdown or anything like that? No. train more or something?
If
There
you would
might
like
be
to
one
trade
option
that,
that can be cut.
you're-
I'm just saying, one put it in train more, you gotta put it in now.
we'll put you in charge of that. So,
You gotta have a human do it.
Yeah.
It's just Darren and the mascot.
I was thinking about it.
I would pay money to see that, in addition to the football stadium.
I might do it first game.
Right, right.
Can I ask a question? Or not yet?
How about a public
Yep.
comment?
Wait.
I do want to say one thing, just a thought that I've been having as I've been watching this. Chris was, this is just simply what I know. We have the track down there, the rubberized track, because of Chris's work to bring that to us back in the 80s. And to see him in charge, not just of this, but as superintendent, overseeing this project, I think tying the two together, at least by what I'm saying, is very important, because that is going to be a legacy he'll carry forever, even after he retires from here. So I want to thank you very much, Chris, for the work you've done.
I'm not paying for it.
Pardon?
I'm not paying for it.
No, but you didn't pay for the other one either, but your direction certainly helped us get that. So I just wanted to pay you a compliment without getting insulted.
I appreciate it, thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Anything else regarding our features? All right, then we'll move on to public comment. This is a section of the meeting in which the public may make comments or share their opinions about Union City Community Schools. We ask you to limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes per person to allow others the opportunity to speak. This is an opportunity for the board to listen to your concerns. It is not board practice to act on the concerns voiced during this meeting to allow for the board to do further research. We have public comments.
First, I want to say thank you to all of you. With the plans with the football field and the bleachers, is there drainage planned into the top? Because I know there was a vision in the past.
No.
Okay. And
Absolutely.
then, is there going to be access to the football field, the track, and the practice field during the summer while construction is being done?
The practice field, the football field, and the entire track may not be available now. They'll be restricted in the area in front of the football field will be open.
Okay, thank you. That was all. Have a great night.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to board roundtable. Does anyone have anything?
I have something really short. Again, this time it's Parker. We went to the elementary production of Disney on Parade, and they did an excellent job of that. It should be credited for that. I think you were there too, weren't you? You were there?
Yes.
So you do agree with me then? It was really well done.
That's amazing.
And Parker had a good chance to show off, which I thought was really good. Yes, they were waving at people and smiling. And so congratulations to the elementary school for a very professional production of Disney on Parade. So thank you. I've been singing MICKEYMOUSE now. Thank you.
And that thanks to go towards Mr. Hageman. So thank you,
You did a
Mark,
good job.
for putting that together.
It's beautiful.
Since I was persistent about it, thank you for putting the pictures of the buses in the paper. I'm a happy man now.
Anyone else? All right. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Jen Johnson.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion?
I want to stay.
You can vote nay if you'd like. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed,
Nay.
say. Well, the motion is still carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
All right, Kelly.
So the plan is all along.
And I can tell you.
Yep, I saw it.
Okay, so I need to go down.